So I left off at the J panel, and I kind of had no choice but to stop right there and rethink of how I was going to proceed with the video. Just because you might have seen some stuff there like that volume control, and you're going to like, whoa, wait a minute, volume control? How did you do that? And maybe you've built arcades yourself and you're looking for a solution yourself that is viable for your own arcade besides a Arcade1Up. And I kind of want to get into that. And this is where that J panel can actually kind of lead me off into some tangents here. Because I want to talk about wiring as well. What these are SATA to Molex connectors, actually. What I'm looking to do is take advantage of two types of voltage coming off the power supply, the 12 volt and the 5 volt. And I guess before I even get into anything about the control panel, which is its own separate topic, I need to get into the electrical of this cabinet. I mean, we've already put a button down on there for our coin. Obviously, that's going to go to our controller, but like I said, it lights up. So I need to run a 12 volt line there. This volume button that I put in there, this little mystery thing, and I'm going to talk about that, also needs to be ran on a 12 volt line, and that's something else we need to talk about. So I have to go off on a tangent here. That's what I said. This is going to be a very, very long video or series of videos because I'm going to have to, by no choice, go on tangents here for people that are new, even though I'm going to say that this is made more for you intermediate to advanced builders. Maybe you're going to learn something new, but let's press on here. We are at the J panel. Let's talk about this J panel in just a second here. So my office is a mess, but I'm progressing along with this, and I needed to pause a little bit. Let me turn this down a little bit. So here's the amp. That's actually where the music's coming from, is the amplifier here. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of testing it out right now. I have it hooked up to my phone, playing Pandora. Anyways, as we seen in the last scene, I showed you that J panel, and I need to pause here because this is where we start going on those tangents. Because you might have seen some stuff there that you might have not have ever seen in an arcade before, like that volume button. So this is one of the reasons why I said this is going to be a long video, or at least series of videos, because of these tangents that we can go on. Now, that volume control is going to get powered by this amp. What I'm doing right now is the initial setup of this amp. Kind of setting its maximum volume, if you would, so that I don't have to worry about setting it up when I put it into the computer or into the cabinet. I'm going to crank it up. As you can see, it kind of distorts, or as they like to say, it clips. So this isn't a very powerful amplifier. If you want some really powerful sound, get a better amplifier for one thing, and get some better speakers. This is just a cheap testy speaker. These are not the speakers that are going into the arcade cabinet. What I'm putting into the cabinet here, let me turn on my light. Let's turn around here. I have some Boss. Zoom in. Sorry, guys. Unplug my dang microphone. Hopefully this video comes out right. Anyways, as you can see, I got some Boss BRS 40s in here that I'm running. Much thicker magnet than one of these cheapies here that I'm testing out everything on. We can see now on this side
some of the wiring. I got the big jumbled mess out of the way. Here's the right side wires. It's red and white. Red is for right, and white is my ground on this one. And then I have a black and white on this one. Black is my left, with white being my ground that way when I plug that in. But anyways, getting back over here, as you can see, we have our computer. This is a mining rig, one of my old mining rigs that I used in this to put everything together. You can see my hard drive down here. Here's the computer itself. Here's my video card. It's GT1030. It's venting upward. Here's my power button. Of course, I'm going to move this power button here that I'm using right now currently to power this computer on to somewhere on the cabinet, and I'll just basically snip this end to make a new power button. But here's our power supply. Now, the rest of this cabinet, like the marquee lights and that coin door, or coin light, those run on 12 volt. And what we're going to do, well, first of all, we're going to turn down this music, even though I love Debbie Harry, but so what we're going to do is we're actually going to tap into the 12 volt power coming out from the power supply. Instead of having all these, little power pack things like this, plugged into a big power strip, we don't need all that. Our 12 volt power supply runs a really nice, clean 12 volt current for us. So, I mean, we've got what, 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here. So we've got 4 different 12 volt connections that I can actually tap from on the power supply. Now, when I say tap from the power supply, I want to tell you this: do not cut your power supply. Don't cut your wires. That's not what I'm saying here. What we're going to do is we're going to make some little 12 volt leads from various little other Molex things that I have around here, like this, for instance. This is like some little adapter I got in some kit somewhere. What it does is it's to plug like a one of those little 3-pin fans onto a Molex. Well, I can use this. I'm gonna tap into this. Here's my positive. Here's my negative. It's already marked on there. I can use that. All I have to do is plug this into one of my power supply leads, and here's my 12 volt power for my marquee, say, or here's my 12 volt power for my coin door. That's how that's going to work. So let me go ahead and get that wired up, and we'll come back to the next scene. So looking at the back of the cabinet, you can see I've kind of started making a organization out of the mess that it once was. You can see the speaker wires have been let into this little vial nylon straps, along with the USB wires for that, and with the volume control wires. I'm going to try to simplify this as I go along, and I'm going to simplify by, organizing my shit as I go along. So maybe this looks a little bit prettier than the initial mess that we're going to have here. So I've put some nylon straps along here, along this, and led this all the way out. And this is long enough. Let me keep going, that it comes outside of the cabinet, which is absolutely fine. Let's get into that volume control. Hold on, let me shut this off and sort out this wire mess here, and we'll kind of break this down. Okay, what I have here is the connectors for the volume control. Let's see if I can sort these all out for you. We'll start with these easy ones here. This red one is the input. The black one is the output. And then you got these 3 wires here. Now the red and the yellow one, you can see I actually have them teed together. And
this black wire here is actually a positive. On our other black wire, which is the ground, I wired it to that, and that is wired into, let me find the end, hold on here guys. I know I said I'm trying to make sense of it all, but to make sense of it all, I have to find it all. It's into a SATA power. This is what's going to power the volume control functions here. It's basically a 12 volt thing that you would stick in your car. I'm going to get into more of that here in just a minute, but it wires up with yellow and black and red are basically positive. One's basically the turn on, and then of course ground. And then like most any other car stereo would wire up, there's an amp turn on wire, which is blue. I actually snipped that. There it is, because I won't be needing that. What I want is the functions of it with, you know, the input and output. That's really what we're doing here, is we're going to take this input that will be coming from the computer, and it's going to go feed into this right here, which leads up to the volume control. That is going to output to that. Where the hell did that other one go? It's here somewhere. Here it is, down here. That's going to output to this one, which leads on this cable to these RCA connectors, which will, of course, plug into the amplifier. And, of course, the amplifier gets plugged, you know, back here. It's going to get mounted here, and the speakers will get plugged into the amp, and, well, that's how the sound works. So hopefully that all made sense. Probably not, because, you know, I can't articulate for shit. But that's what we got going on here. Now, another thing before we go to the front, I want you to notice that the marquee right there, here's the line for it. I actually kind of tied that down here in the back to kind of shift it all over this way. My computer is going to be about here. I kind of want to shift my jumbled mess over here, and this is one of those things that I'm going to shift over, and we'll get to that after a bit. But anyways, here's our coin button wires going down here. That's going to go onto the iPad controller. Here's our 12 volt for the lights that I have to do still. I'm going to get to the 12 volt wiring here in a bit. Still covering this J panel, guys. But enough of this shit. Let me stop this scene and flip it around to the front and have a look at that. Alright, so here is the volume control that I was talking about. It's an NVX, let's see, let's grab it here, take a look, zoom in, god damn my light sucks. XUBT3 is what this model is. There's probably some other models that are pretty similar to this, but I showed you the wiring in the back, but here's how it looks in the front. This does have Bluetooth, so this cabinet is actually, can double as a little portable jukebox for your Bluetooth if you like. I tried it out earlier. I had it paired with my phone, had Pandora opened up. I was able to navigate Pandora using the controller on there, as well as adjust the volume. So that's pretty badass. So this is actually going to double. What you do is like you double click your button there to switch your inputs, but yeah, it's going to have a regular input, which is going to come in from the amp, which is going to, you know, play the arcade music and what have you that comes from the machine, as well as having an optional Bluetooth feature, which will pair with your phone or other Bluetooth devices to have a little mini jukebox. Now, I'm not sure if it's possible. Maybe it is possible. Maybe I'm dreaming and thinking ahead of myself, but I would think that you'd be able to use something like a Chromecast or something and actually maybe kind of interface that Bluetooth functionality that does control apps like Pandora and what have you onto the PC.
somehow. You know, you could easily put a Bluetooth controller in here. That's, you know, pretty simple. I mean, I'm going to put a Wi-Fi in here, and, you know, a lot of these have like the built-in Bluetooth, and yeah, whatever. But anyways, that's another tangent. But anyways, hate that. So many tangents. Yeah, so this is going to have Bluetooth functionality along with volume control. Now, it's hardware-controlled volume, not software, which is something I actually prefer, because then you're actually controlling like the volume of Hyperspin as it's booting up instead of like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? You're not using that shift function. And then up above here is our USB. It's obviously USB 3.0, as you can see. Now, this is great for when I'm setting up the arcade and I actually do finish with the damn control panel and have that all programmed in here. I mean, I'm going to test the control panel on my main PC, but when I slap it down in here, I want a way to access it still and fiddle with it some more. And this USB 3.0 is going to come in handy. Now, you notice, hear that? This is just so loose in there. This is, again... And this is no fault of Tulsa Arcades. This is actually the design of these Arcade1Up cabinets is so weak. Like this right there. That is just so weak. You know, hopefully having the control panel in here will stabilize that. But anyways, yeah, so after... Now, down here, I wanted to show you this. You can see that I actually had to put this volume control on the bottom just because of how far it sticks out. If I would have put it up on top, which would have been nice, it really, really would have stuck out and probably bumped into like the control panel or something, or maybe even a button. So that's actually why I kind of had to, no choice but to put that down here on the bottom. But, you know, it works. I mean, you can put it anywhere you want. I mean, you know, we talked about this K panel here that's behind here. And, you know, the hole I had to drill here, you could easily put buttons right down here along your K panel, too, which might be a little bit more rigid than using this. And you could actually, you know, here's something to think about, put speakers down here instead. You know, just get a whole new panel there instead of this. Because when I'm done with this, all set up and all wired up, I'm going to have to come in here, you know, with my glue gun or something, and then kind of give this a little bit more rigidity so that it's not doing that. I really don't want it doing that if I'm, you know, pushing a button. So, yeah, let's carry on. So look at this mess. This is the control panel. Wow. How the hell is anybody supposed to figure that out? Well, let's try to make some sense of this.